morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It was so great to see all of you on Zoom yesterday. And it's my Tuesday trivia class. Um, I had what I hope is a very special class planned today. So we're gonna start out as always with a warm up. Um, guys, always know if some songs you can't upload on YouTube because of issues with the artist. But whenever there's moving and there's silence, that means the song could not be uploaded. But I always like to try. So anyway, we're gonna move and groove, and then we'll get into our Tuesday trivia for today. Really just let the music get in. You. Feel the music.
Now that you're out of my life, I'm so much better. You thought that I'd be weak without you, but I'm stronger. You thought that I'd be broke without you, but I'm richer. You thought that I'd be sad without you, I laugh harder. Thought I wouldn't grow without you, now I'm wiser. Thought that I'd be helpless without you, but I'm smarter. You thought that I'd be stressed without you, but I'm
Let the music just move you and groove you. Feel it.
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up.
Let's keep moving up. Everybody around. Your shoulders. Good. Feel the music.
Keep on survivor. Thought I couldn't breathe without you. I'm inhaling. You thought I couldn't sleep without your perfect vision. You thought I couldn't last without you, but I'm lasting. You thought that I would die without you, but I'm living. Thought that I would fail without you, but I'm on top. Thought it would be over by now, but it won't stop. Thought that I would self-destruct, but I'm still here. Even in my years to come, I'm still gonna be here. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I am a survivor. Keep on surviving. I am a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I'm a survivor. Keep on surviving. Wishing you the best. Pray that you are blessed. More success, no stress, and lots of happiness. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna blast you on the radio. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna lie you in your family. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna hate you in the magazine. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna compromise my Christianity. I'm better than that. You know I'm not gonna dish you on the internet. Cause my mama taught me better than that. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna
Good. And let them stop.
I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I'm a survivor.
All right, guys. Good warm up. Good warm up. Hey, guys. As you know, in the last week, as you may know, we lost two brilliant actresses, Horace Leachman and Cicely Tyson. And though I love the work of Horace Leachman, and I have fond memories of watching her when I was a little girl on Mary Tyler Moore, and all the impressive work that she did from then up until very recently. Today I'm going to focus on Cicely Tyson because it was her work that significantly impacted my life. And I want to share that with you today as a tribute to her. So I'll probably feature closely in work and another time because, as I said, I think she was a brilliant actress too. But Cicely Tyson, for me, as a little girl who knew she wanted to be an actress, but didn't always see a lot of people, a lot of representation of African American actresses on TV or in movies at that time. Seeing her was amazing. I still remember going to the theater with my mom and dad, and we went to the theater, and I remember it just being my mom, my dad, and my sister didn't go with us to see this movie. I remember going to the movie and seeing on the big screen the film Sounder, which was a film that came out in '72. It was the first time I saw a movie that had an predominantly all African American cast. And I saw people that looked like me on the big screen. And it was amazing. And I saw this actress who played the mom, Rebecca Cicely Tyson. And I was transfixed by her work because it was so amazing. And she has been such a role model for me. And so today, as a special trivia, I'm going to share an interview she did. And the reason I want to share this interview is she talks about the process of her work. She, because she was a multi-award winner, she had many Emmy nominations. She was the first African American actress to be nominated for Best Actress. She was the first African American actress to have a recurring role on a TV show, East Side, West Side, which was on in the early 60s. She was the first African American actress to win an honorary Oscar in 2018. She won. She had the Tony Awards, Drama Desk Awards. She did Broadway in her 80s. Imagine doing it. She did the show A Trip to Bountiful in her 80s, doing 8 shows a week on Broadway in her 80s. She was incredible. And I think it's really important as artists that we honor those who paved the way before us and remember the sacrifices of people who paved the way before us, especially those of us who are African American actors and actresses, to remember our heroes and sheroes who paved the way before us. And this is also African American History Month, so I will be sharing this month some actors that I think paved the way and were helped open doors for us in the same way that we now are continuing to fight to make sure actors with disabilities are represented authentically on film and television. So what I'm going to share today is an interview she did about 5 or 6 years ago, where she was talking about her process and doing Broadway, The Trip to Bountiful, 8 shows a week in her 80s, amazing. And then I'm going to share one more thing. So let's listen to the interview, listen to how she talks about the process and developing a character. And these are things that I want you to know about. It's not just what she went through. And what is amazing about this interview too is, I'll let you watch it and then I'll say what I want to say afterward. So the interview from CBS this morning. It was, I believe, in 2015. She did this interview. So let's watch it, then we'll come back and talk about it.
As for your mama, she didn't pick her life. He picked her. But you're gonna do something big for Joe.
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Osgood.
That's Cicely Tyson, along with Emma Stone in the 2011 film The Help, in which Tyson played a housemaid working in the civil rights era South. Now, in her latest role, she's returning to the stage in a play that itself is all about the act of returning. Lee Cowan has a Sunday profile.
Just outside the small town of Wharton, Texas, sits an old abandoned farmhouse. It's a relic of an age gone by, forgotten except by time, until recently, when Broadway paid a visit.
There's just something really very beautiful about being in this space.
Academy Award nominated actress Cicely Tyson came all the way out here, not as a tourist, but as a sleuth of sorts, to research her latest role.
My gratification in working comes from the preparation and the building of the character.
Turns out that old farmhouse is a character too.
When you've lived longer than your house and your family, you've lived too long.
Tyson stars in the revival of the 1953 drama The Trip to Bountiful. She plays Mother Watts, a woman in the twilight of her life who longs to leave the big city of Houston and return to her childhood home of Bountiful.
I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go. Oh,
Roy, quick, call a doctor.
No doctor. No doctor. Doctor. Bountiful. Bountiful. Bountiful.
Bountiful existed only in the mind's eye of Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Horton Foote.
And then just down this block.
It was his daughter, Hallie, who guided Tyson on her mission to uncover the subtleties of the role. The play was inspired by this land, where her father grew up.
So this is the house.
Mm-hmm.
Horton Foote was raised here in Morton.
And then in here is where he used to write.
He lived here on and off until he died in 2009. Geraldine Page won an Oscar playing Mother Watts in the 1985 film version. Tyson never forgot that performance.
Goodbye, Bountiful.
When her chance came to play the part on stage,
Goodbye.
she knew she had to make her own trip to Wharton to really understand the role.
Is there anything specific you're looking for, or you're just waiting for the town to sort of speak to you?
I am just absorbing everything that's here. Everything.
It's a long way from her days growing up in Harlem, where her mother, a very religious woman, thought the world of modeling and acting was a den of iniquity. So much so, she kicked Tyson out of the house after she landed her first job.
My mother didn't talk to me for 2 years.
Was that hard on you?
Yes, it was, but I also knew that what I was feeling was so compelling that nothing was going to stop me.
And nothing did stop her. For a time, she was one of the most talked about actresses in Hollywood. Her 7-year marriage to jazz great Miles Davis only kept her in the spotlight. As an actress, she chose her roles carefully, rarely taking on a character unless she felt it contributed something to the national dialogue on civil rights.
I wanted to address certain issues, and I chose to use my career as my platform.
And how did you go about doing that?
Just simply ruling out what I wouldn't do. Films that dealt with us as less than human, the type that, you know, is great for making money for producers, but does nothing to enhance the race itself, or women.
In 1972, her performance as the wife of a Southern sharecropper in Sounder earned her an Oscar nomination. And then there was Roots, where Tyson played the mother of Kunta Kinte, who was taken into slavery.
How big an impact did that have on your life and your career?
Wow. It is the one thing I believe that has touched every single culture and race.
But she is perhaps most identified with the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Her performance won her a Primetime Emmy for Actress of the Year in 1974.
Mom, it wasn't a den of iniquity after all.
Tyson played a former slave who lived to be 110 years old, long enough to see the civil rights movement. The scene of her sipping from a white-only water fountain for the very first time remains iconic.
When you look back, do you think you have made a difference?
I hope so. I'm told so every day. And that's very rewarding, it's very satisfying.
I got a crown up in the kingdom, and that's good news.
She's still trying to make a difference, especially here, at the Cicely L. Tyson School for the Performing Arts in East Orange, New Jersey.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. How are you?
She put more than her name out front. She's actively involved in the students' well-being.
How have you been since I last visited you?
How often are you here?
I come every chance I get. I sometimes teach a master class in acting.
You tell her to pick that up. I won't. You will. This is my house and you'll do as you're told.
It's her first time back on Broadway in 30 years, and the first time the trip to Bountiful has ever been staged with a black family.
What you want to do?
That's a fact not lost on Tyson's co-star, Vanessa Williams,
You're going to go too far with me one of these days, old lady.
who plays Mother Watt's daughter-in-law.
And it takes me back to when I was a kid, lying in bed watching TV and watching her in Miss Jane Pittman. Those were the performances that made me want to be an actress.
Was it really?
Yeah, absolutely. Her image was part of what educated us about slavery, about Jim Crow, about her experience as a black woman that she portrayed, beautifully in the pieces in the work that she did.
At a recent Sunday service at the Eastgate Baptist Church back in Texas, Tyson was again in research mode. Something else to take back to Broadway. Her fans look on her as much as a beacon of social conscience as an award-winning actress. Cicely Tyson seems quite happy to play both those roles. She won't confirm just how old she really is. By some accounts, she's 88.
You think you're ever going to retire?
There's no age limit on this. You just work till you're 110. I'm not Jane Pittman.
That could be you.
That's right.
Okay, guys, what I wanted to focus on when I loved about that interview is years and years and years after working in film and television and having all these accolades, they still go through a process and went through a process of developing a character. She didn't just, get up and say that. She worked hard with all her experience and all her knowledge. She still brought that and went through a process every time of playing a character and bringing that character to life and doing the homework and the research she could do. You sort of walk around the house of the character that she plays in A Trip to Bountiful. So again, one of the reasons I want you guys, and I give you guys creative assignments, is to help you develop these characters that you do so they can be real and authentic and you can live truthfully in the imaginary circumstance. Okay. The second thing I'm going to show is from the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, a movie she did, I believe, in '74. It was a made-for-TV movie where she played a woman who aged from slavery to 110 during the Civil Rights Movement, and Cicely played the title character, Miss Jane Pittman. This is one of the final scenes in the movie. Why I want you to watch it is I want you to notice the physicality she goes through in this scene. Okay, just to give you the setup, she's taking a drink from a water fountain that at the time there were separate water fountains for African Americans and white people. So for her, the courage of her character to go and take a sip of water from a white-only water fountain is so powerful. But I also want you to notice her physical work, the physical work that she did to play a 110-year-old woman, because at the time she probably would have been about 49, right? And even if you saw, and even in her 80s, she was strutting her step on Broadway. So she was a very physically fit woman up until, she passed. But I really want you to watch the scene. So we're gonna go, and I'm already getting emotional because that's what this scene does to me. So this is one of the final scenes from the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Let's watch it. Okay, so again, guys, I want you to notice, and I hope you noticed how beautifully and intricate her physicality was. And yes, she had a great makeup job. Yes, the makeup helped, but it was her. Because you can have all the makeup in the world, but if she's walking like this, it's not a soul, right? But the way her intricate physicality, and a lot more this year we're going to be looking at how do we physically express ourselves as a character. And that is such a beautiful example of how she did that, right? I mean, she looked 110, at the time she was barely 50. Okay, so what a beautiful artist, what a beautiful gift. We were so blessed to have her She will forever remain my favorite actress, and I am forever grateful for the impact that she had on my life. She's definitely one of my heroes. So I'm not going to do a trivia question this week, but I just wanted to take this time to celebrate one of the greatest actresses, and I think also because it's starting with African American History Month, to incorporate that into what we do with actors and to celebrate some of those actors this month is something that I will also be doing. So, thank you for spending some time with me today and letting me open my heart about Cicely Tyson, and thank you, Cicely Tyson. I'll see you. Thank you, Cicely Tyson. I'll see you guys next time. See you tomorrow. I love you. And I miss you.
Have a little faith, I say. Have a little faith, my friend. We got to help each other through thick and thin. These are trying times that we're living in. Have a little faith, I say. Have a little faith, my friend. We got trouble everywhere around.